Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Full 42 on another Monday. We are without Chris, as Chris is hanging out in California with Peter Vaughn and that crew. So why not bring in a dear friend? I'm honored to call you a friend, and one of the greats in the industry, Richard Launius, to hang out with us on a Monday. Richard, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm a pinch hitter today, right? So I get to step in. All right, we'll see if I can get a hit.
So I was talking to Richard a little bit before the show. I did a little research. Richard was on a show when the world shut down, when I did the QSCon Tuesdays used to be a thing, and then we had to stop. So to keep some semblance of normalcy, I used to have a show on Tuesdays for about an hour and a half. That's how I met Chris when Chris was doing his Kickstarter. And I reached out to Richard because our game had been out for a little while. And I said, hey, would you mind coming hanging out? And it was before I was recording anything. So there was about an hour and a half of us chatting with people that is in my memory, but does not exist anywhere. It's sad, but that's a thing. And then you were on this show back in May of 2001. So it's been quite a minute since you've been here. I'm sure nothing has changed. I'm sure everything is still the same since 2001.
Yeah, life has moved on, though. I try. We've all gotten a little older since then. So
yeah, it stops for no one, right?
Exactly.
So I might as well put this banner up. I'm very bad at banners. You'll see the banners on the bottom. They might not link up throughout the whole show. But
I see my name there. So yeah,
your name is now there. So for those that may not know, and I've talked about on the show, Richard's game Arkham, the second edition of Arkham, is the game that got me into the industry. And for a topic like tonight with co-op games, an overarching rule with the show is Batman. Asking for Troubles, Arkham Second Edition. They always stay off the show because it's always going to be there for me. I showed Richard before the show the thing I showed him 10 years ago, which I believe we met 10 years ago at Dice Tower Part 2 in 2013.
I can't even remember how long ago, but it only seems like yesterday. We had a pretty good time, as I remember, that very first day.
Yep. Well, I had showed him the thing that I made for Second Edition, or the Arkham Second Edition, because I was so enamored by the narrative and the storytelling in the play. It's still on my table. I'm staring at it right now. So those kind of games stay off our list. But for those that don't know, Richard, what else would they know you by? Because I talk about you and Arkham often. So what else might they know about you?
I've done a ton of different games. They could know me from Defenders of the Realm line, which there's several games in that particular line. They could know me for Planet of the Apes, which was also done by IDW. I lose track of all the different ones. There's a whole heap of them. X-Men Insurrection, Elder Sign, which I don't consider, even though that's in the Arkham line, I consider it a totally separate game because it's essentially a dice game.
Right.
So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Legends of the American Frontier. Okay. Great game that was not a lot of copies sold because it was kind of overproduced and too expensive at the time. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. Shark Island. I can keep thinking. I'll keep coming up with some different ones at that point. But Fate of the Elder Gods, that was a pretty popular one for a while. So
Thunder Rolls.
Thunder Rolls is my most recent one, absolutely. And it's one we've never put in distribution still. You can only get it when you order it direct. I think BGG carries it also, or you can order it from Sean, or you can get it at cons. And we just did an expansion to Garage, which I got to tell you what, sometimes you do an expansion and it takes a game, like from let's say right now it's a 7.4 rating or whatever it is, and it takes it up to like 8 or whatever. This one takes it up 3 or 4 points. It's just the stuff that's in the Garage are just that good. So especially for players who play with they want a lot of non-player drivers, solo, that kind of thing, just really elevates the game. So
if people do track down a copy or have a copy, there's a sticker sheet in there so you can sticker all your cars as like sponsor stickers. Yep. And one of the stickers you can find on all of the sheets is the full 42. So you can actually have a full 42 card.
There you go. And I'm in the process of I guess I'll plug it now. I'm in the process. I've designed a whole card game version now of it. So basically you can play like a 45-minute game where, gives you the whole NASCAR experience without, having to set up and not as strategic. Well, it is strategic. It's just very different strategic in how it works. But I want to design a game that's simple enough that anybody can play it. So basically, movement, maneuvers, everything's right on the cards. So a lot of action packed into that game.
That's cool. I didn't know there was a
challenge. How do we get that in NASCAR? How do we get that into NASCAR? Raceways, because I think if it can, we'll sell like 1 million copies.
Yeah, in the gift shop for sure.
Yeah. I don't know how you do that though, but
you need a marketer.
Ultimate goal.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I let somebody else do the marketing. I stick to the designing.
It is it's something that we're talking about at 3WS now. It is a tough nut to crack, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the marketing piece, especially if you're trying to get into big places. So.
Yep. So yeah, you listed a few that are going to be off this list because they are some of my favorite co-op games. Elder Sign, Arkham, Defenders of the Realm is getting a reprint too this year, right? This year?
It's not a reprint, a redesign.
Redesign.
You got the original. Hold on to it, because I love playing the original. But no, this game is a total new design, totally run by every character has their own deck of cards as they're playing. The Darkness deck is now a clock as well. It's scaled. You can play it solo. You can play it with 6 players. Everybody takes their turns simultaneously at the same time, and then the Darkness does their stuff. So it's no more I take a turn, then I flip a Darkness card. There's just a whole lot of stuff going on, and the miniatures are beautiful. That one has really come a long way. Greater Than Games is doing it. And
nice.
Everybody, Daryl Lauder has been the lead of the team, but certainly Christopher's been involved lately and really been getting involved in trying to make sure that this is my goal on every Defenders game is that the whatever's coming out next has to be the best of the line. Now, Freedom 5 is not out yet; it's been delayed for like ever, but it will be the best of the line when it comes out. But by the time we actually release Defenders Legends Retold, it will be the best of the line.
That game is so. I remember playing that for the first time. It's so awesome, and we just recently played it. I think Luke sometimes watches, but we just played it recently on a CuseCon Tuesday, and I remember what I loved about it. Just the narrative, the story that comes out of it, the gameplay on the original version of it. So I can't wait. I can't wait for.
And the thing we've really done really well is now you have a base Darkness deck. Then every general has a set number of cards. So you can mix and match generals really cleanly and easily now. And there's going to be like 8 generals available right at the beginning with different minions and stuff that, you'll be able to mix and match your battles. It's really nice.
That's awesome. I do remember why I don't run the show. People have been dropping comments. Andrew, great to see you. Here's one of the people you hung out with at Tantrum.
Hey, how about that? Good to see y'all.
Dave and Di will be in the show, I'm sure.
Toss them Masters of the Night.
The Batman crew is here, Michael.
All right.
Hey, Alan from Costa Rica, Alan. And Steve, it's always great to see you. So I will try and keep up with the there's Di. So we got Dave and Di.
Yeah, both online.
I'll try and keep up with the comments. No promises because I kind of lose my mind when I'm talking with Richard. So bear with me.
I tend to veer off anyway, so
which is fine. Which this could be a 6-hour show pretty quickly.
I'm a lot like a golden retriever at this point. You point me in a direction, I get interested, I kind of go that way. So Perfect. All right. So before we get into our topic for the evening, we usually do announcements. So I'll turn it over for you. Do you have any announcements, any breaking news, anything that you can let everyone know is happening for you this year, next year? Well, this year we've hopefully finally Freedom 5 should come out this year. That one has been in the process forever. LA1, I have a finished prototype of it here. Should go on Kickstarter sometime this year. I thought it was going to go on early, but it looks like they're going to run a different Kickstarter first. But for people interested in kind of a very, very big storytelling world in a dark future where you play detectives, work together, not a deductive game, but an adventure game, they'll be interested in LA1. And then I already showed you Victory Lane. So those are the things I've been working on the most. I mentioned Defenders of the Realm, Legends Retold, which is a fantastic, going to be a fantastic new version of that game as well. So yeah, those are the things I'm working on.
Now I remember LA1 back in the Dice Tower Con days, probably 18, playing that in 2018, maybe 2019.
2018, 2019. It was sold to one company that went under. They went under during COVID. Yeah. Came back to us, so we sold it to another company. Trick or Treat Studios has it now. Nice. And they've had it in development for about a year, which is probably about 6 months longer than it should have been in development, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. I think some of the development stuff is really nice, and now it just needs to get published and get out there for people.
They've been killing it. Trick or Treat's been killing it. A lot of their stuff that I've come across has been really great.
Well, they did top-notch artwork, by the way. They've done top-notch artwork on it. It looks really good. So, we need to sell it. put it in the stores. Let some people buy it.
Well, let me know when I'm sure I'll know, but let me know when the Kickstarter goes live.
I will
on the socials. Cool. Oh yeah, Andrew was. Yeah. Oh, Andrew worked on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Huh. He did work on it way back when Mondo.
What a small world. The game that Daryl Adrian.
I was hoping it would have been out by now if they hadn't their company hadn't experienced the problems it did during COVID, which a lot of companies experienced. So
yeah, we Daryl, Andrews, Adrian Adamescu, and I had the same problem with Mondo with the game. And Andrew worked on that as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Small world. I have no real announcements. Nothing major, nothing going on. Probably more stuff next week that I can talk about. But as we do every Monday, I do have the Luca painting. For those that follow along, Luca is 2 years and 3 months now. Very sophisticated individual. He paints on 4x4 canvases with watercolor regularly. My baker's rack is almost out of space now. And he made 2 today. So today's Luca painting is going to be. So what we do is we look at it and then we do like that Rorschach test of what do you see? What do you see? Oh, I see that. So this is today's.
Okay, I know what I see.
I know what I see. I can't unsee it. What do you see?
I see Cthulhu.
Of course you do.
I see Cthulhu everywhere.
Yeah, he's facing over here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's hysterical. Die sees a bass. Okay. Yeah, I can't. I see the. Oh, look at Dave and Die. Both seem animals. Good job. Yeah, the Cthulhu is almost obvious.
Once you say it, you can't not see it.
No, now I can't unsee that. So when he was painting, he took the green first, and he usually does a thicker brush with more color, and then he does a smaller brush. Like I'll give him the thicker brush with color, and then the lighter brush. So he did the thicker brush with the green, and as soon as he was done painting it, he said frog.
Ah,
so I can't unsee the frog.
See a frog. I can see a frog there jumping.
So then the next color I gave him, he wanted this one. All he did was paint a little bit over here, and he was like, "I'm done." So it's like the frog and the bug, or the fly, or the flower, or whatever. So, but then you see Cthulhu, and now I can't unsee his little, his little chin tentacles. That's hysterical. Yeah, Steven got it. It's from Luca himself. He did say that it was. He said frog, and then usually he'll do multiple colors, but this one he did the second color, and he said done. So that is today's Luca painting.
There you go.
That's it. Straight from the artist's mouth. All right. So let's get into tonight's topic. We didn't know what to do. I was turning it over to Richard, and the idea came up, top 5 dice games or top 5 co-op. And I'm indifferent. Richard was indifferent. So I said, just roll a die. And Richard rolled a die, and it came up co-ops.
Absolutely.
And then about 10 minutes later, I get another text from Richard that says, can we do top 10? Because I can't limit a top 5. I was like, yeah, we'll do a top 10. So what was supposed to be a top 5 co-ops is now going to be a top 10 co-ops.
And I could go more. So,
it's difficult. I got 13. I figure I got my 10. If there is some overlap, then I have a couple backups. I know you have some backups as well.
Yeah.
How did you look at this one? Like I said in the beginning, I left off Batman. I left off all of your phenomenal games. I also left off a game from Wolfgang Warsch called Fuji, which I talked about last week. It's a co-op dice game. If you don't know, it is fantastic. You're running away from the lava as it's like going through the village, and you're trying to save people, but you're rolling dice secretively. So I left that off the list as well. How did you approach the list? What did you do?
Okay, well, I approached the list kind of as you said it. What are mine? Not what are the best. Okay, I would say that a lot of these are the best, but in my opinion, what if you were playing co-op games, you would not have to draft me into any of these. I'd be the first one at the table. Okay. And as I said, I have more than made the list, but so one of the rules I had was, because I know there's a lot of good co-op games out there, a lot have come out recently, but if it doesn't hit my table on at least a regular basis, then I don't consider it a good co-op. The bottom line is I don't play a lot of games because I design, but when I do play games, I play games I like for the most part. Right. Tantrum House people come over and we play new stuff all the time with them. But when I get to choose games, it's games I like. So if I haven't been choosing a co-op game, then I don't consider it one that I really love. Okay. So that's kind of where I went with it.
Interesting.
So I'm going to see the games that I want to play and that I do play and why I love them. That's how I'm gonna cover them.
Okay, that's fair. I would argue the same. I think these are games that either hooked me as a co-op game, or games that I would never turn down if available, or games that I would if people wanted to play a co-op. These are games that I would recommend either trying if you're new to it, or trying if you've played enough of them and you want something a little bit more challenging in a co-op. One I don't think I've probably played the thing 50, 60 times. I've never beaten it. So
but that's okay if it creates an experience. I mean, to me, that's the one thing co-op games have to do more than any other game is create an experience when you feel like you're in that world and with those other people. And you know, that's the beauty of it. That's what makes co-op fun.
I agree. It's still, I mean, bringing people to the table and playing games and spending time with each other and leaving the table with a story, right? Being able to tell a story to somebody else. Oh, you never guess what happened. We did this thing and this thing happened. And it's an amazing industry. Okay. So let's go to our number 10. Mine are never ranked. So it's not like it's going to be my 10th and then back to my first. They're kind of all over the place. Are yours officially ranked?
Mine are ranked. Yeah. And I'm going to go from 10 to the top.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want to, but I'm going to go from 10 to the top. So
I'm going to
cover your first one. Go ahead.
My first. I don't want to start. That sucks.
It is your show. Okay.
I know.
You want me to go first?
No, I'll go. I'll bring it. So this was the first co-op that I played. It was Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it. Played it several times.
Yep. I enjoyed the challenge. You actually feel stressed when the fire is breaking down the walls and you have to save all the people. It was a great experience. It was easy to get into. It wasn't complicated in many ways. And I think it still holds up. I played it recently and it's still a damn good game.
Yeah, I knew the designer. He lived in Atlanta. Actually. So I knew him. Yeah, I played it for a while. I enjoyed it. You're right. It is. It's an easy game to get to the table. It's an easy game to get people to play. Yeah. So yeah, I'm aware of it. You want to talk more about it or?
No, I've never played. Did you ever play with any of the expansions? I never felt the need to bring them in.
I did play some of the expansions. They were just more of the same. Okay. In some ways they were more difficult. In other ways they weren't. As long as you had that guy out there on the hose knocking stuff down, you had it made. Okay. Some of them got to go inside and they got to be guy out there on that fire hose. So so yeah, that's pretty much how that one worked.
Cool.
Right, yeah. My number 10, if you are ready, is actually Code 3. And I'll bet most people haven't even heard of Code 3.
Nope.
And what I will tell you is Code 3 is it's basically you take a couple of different cops and they can come out of movie. Basically, they're playoffs of movies and TV shows or whatever. So you've got the Lethal Weapon people in there. You got the Beverly Hill Cop, Eddie Murphy in there. You've got all these different cops and you take two different sets of cops and you shuffle them together and that makes your deck. Okay.
Okay.
And then you have the story that you're playing. And the weakness in the game probably is the fact that there's a couple of really good stories, and then the other stories are all kind of blah. I think someday I'm just going to go write some of my own stories for it. But the murder, there's one where there's a serial killer in the city. That one is fantastic, actually. So and there's one where there's a car theft ring moving through. There's all these different things. But what's really neat about it is it was designed by a cop. So all the things that come up around town are things that you can see. Yeah, we wouldn't have thought of that as designers, but this is a cop who put this together, and this is stuff they have to deal with every day, along with whatever the big storyline is. But what happens is you draw cards, okay, until you have 3 police officers out. I think it's 3 police officers out. But you have other things that are going in your deck, like you might be being investigated by internal affairs, or you might have gotten your wrist slapped by the captain. So you got cards in your deck. If you get 2 of those up, then you get called in for administrative type of stuff on your turn. And it's just really solidly done. The way it works, it's got fun dice rolling in it. You move around town, you solve different things, and you have this ongoing story you have to solve before it's over. So it's a lot of fun. Hard game to find, but hopefully they're going to reprint it at some point. It's hard to say. It's a first design from somebody. Suffers from the few flaws you see. Graphically, the typefaces go all over the place on the different location tiles. But the bottom line is it's a pretty solid little game.
Who's the publisher?
Gameland, which I think is probably the guy himself. Okay. It's by a company called Gameland, along with Black Key Games over here. So I've never heard of either one of them before, but it's you've got you got the guy from Die Hard if you want to play him. So there's all these different characters that you can play. They all have special abilities when they come up. They have the ability to arrest and to investigate. It's a fun game.
And it's called Code 3?
Code 3, right. Right.
On my list. Never heard of it.
I've got several you've probably not heard of.
I'm probably going to just write down 3 lines or 10 lines, and I'm going to fill them all with games you suggest. That's what's going to happen.
So that's my number 10.
That's a good one. That sounds cool. The art is, at least the box cover, it looks interesting.
The art's, yeah, I mean, the art is good. I'll hold up a card just so people can see. So I'll try to find somebody we would all semi-know. Now, once again, they're given off names from who they would be in the movies. Like, you have Officer Briggs here, which is not the Officer Briggs, but from Lethal Weapon. But you've got characters from Hill Street Blues and I think this guy was in Hill Street Blues here. So, you've got all these different characters that were in all these different, movies that, you got Foley here, which, so basically you take you have 5 cards of each, you take 2 decks, you put them together, you put in, you can also get citations, where, when you solve certain crimes out there, that you get to add citations to your thing. And if 2 of those come up, then there's an award ceremony for you where you get to add a special card to your deck and stuff. We make everybody salute when that happens. So, but yeah, so that is code 3.
All right. That's on the list. First of 10, I'm sure. All right. So then, if I remember to do the banners, we'll go to number 9, and then I got to follow that up. How the hell am I going to follow that up? If only these were in some sort of order. All right, all right, so Flashpoint was 2011.
Yeah, that's an old game.
Yeah.
But you're right, it does hold up over time.
It does. I think it's still worth it. And for not having played any of the expansion stuff, if I really wanted to get into it, and I have some, I could just roll that in and play, like it would feel fresher, right? I guess I would assume.
It would feel different, but they're not dramatically different.
All right, that's good. Good to know. All right, let's bounce to What if I did the most recent one on my list? I'll bounce back and forth. That
Go
makes sense.
for it.
All right, I'm going to do Sky Team.
I've seen that one. I played it.
It's new. It's from 2003. It's already 344 on the BGG top. It's 2-player only, and the idea is you need to work together to land a plane. As soon as you roll your dice, you're not allowed to talk. So one player is playing the pilot, one player is playing the co-pilot. There are 2 of each. So there's orange and blue dice, depending on if you're the pilot or co-pilot. There's 2 dice for the pilot and two spots for the pilot and 2 spots for the co-pilot that have to be used every turn. You can't get around it. And then you have 2 other dice that you can use to do the brakes or do the speed or something like that. And then when you're done placing them, then you're allowed to talk about, all right, look, we really need to stabilize the wings or whatever. And every round you're getting closer to the airport. Every round there's traffic patterns in the way. So you got to like radio ahead and move planes out of the way, but you're limited to 4 dice each per turn to do all of these things. And you have to have so much stuff done by the time you hit the airport, because you can overshoot the airport. You can land too soon. There's so many things that happen. And then the game comes with X amount of scenarios. So the first one you do is you're landing in Montreal. And then there's stuff that says, do not open until you've landed the plane safely. And then you open up the box and there's all these different things that you can add to the game to just make it like just bonkers. Really, really well done. I love there were a couple pieces that were a little too small for my taste. Like I think they could have been a little bigger, but that's such a nitpick to what the game presents. It's so well done.
Good. I saw it just briefly at Tantrum Con. Now I understand why it was so quiet over there. Those 2 people. Yeah. I thought it was just like playing chess. They were like, nobody was talking to anybody. So okay, I got it now. So yeah.
Yeah, as soon as there's a little shield, you roll behind the shield, and as soon as you roll, you're not allowed to talk. Yeah, really, really well done. Really clever game. Love the play back and forth from round to round, and then the idea of it being just there's so much more you can uncover in the box, and so many runways you can play. It really is a great game.
Cool. That's cool. No, I have not played that one, so that sounds interesting. I look forward to playing it.
It's a good one.
My number 9 actually did come out last year. And this one was on the list, off the list, on the list, off the list. It finally got on the list again because I played it 10 times since it came out about 9 months ago or 8 months ago. And I decided if I played something 10 times, I must like it.
Okay.
And that is Marvel Dagger.
Oh, really? You mentioned this when we were talking about doing this thing again.
I expected to completely hate this game. Okay. Yeah. I could go in and say, and I was not, when I first got it, because I knew the basis of it. Its heart was a combination of Marvel Champions and Eldritch Horror, okay? And they kind of blended that together. And I thought that has got to be the worst tasting stew that they could ever put in front of anybody, okay?
Right.
And when I played it, it worked, okay? Because they took that balance from a superhero perspective and really made it work across the board with story and characters and just the way everything works from a co-op perspective and how you're going up against some of these big villains, which is just really fun. So my only downside of it is needs an expansion. Okay, I've played all the villains, and oddly enough, you would think Thanos would be the toughest one to beat in there, and he is tough, but he is not the toughest one. In my opinion, he's not the one we've always had the most trouble with whenever we played. We always had the most trouble. What's the android's name?
Ultron?
Who?
Ultron?
Ultron is a beast in this thing. Okay. Because he creates all these robots. He's throwing them all over the place. And the more he puts out, the stronger he is. And the stronger each one of them is. And if you let that get out of control, it's over. So, but I highly recommend it for people who like superheroes and for people who like a game that you've got to use strategy, but also is just a whole heck of a lot of fun with some just good dice rolling kicked in.
Yeah, you had mentioned this in our discussion about working on stuff together, and you asked had you played it, and I was just like with West here. I had not heard very good stuff about it, and then you were like, check it out, and you kind of bragged about it for a minute. So I went out and grabbed it right away. It's it looks pretty.
Yeah, you haven't played it yet though?
I have not played it.
Yeah, it's fun. Play, get a couple people together, play it. I actually think the perfect mix of players is 3 players. Okay, but you can play it with 2, you can play it with 1, you can play it with 4. But I've discovered about 3 is a pretty solid balance. So,
okay.
And everybody doesn't like it. I get the people who love Marvel Champions are like, why would I want to play that? I've got Marvel Champions, and I like the whole deck building thing. And a lot of people don't even make the connection that there's some pieces in this that really kind of come out of the heart of Eldritch Horror in terms of how you have to resolve these 3. The master villain is trying to carry out these 3 different plans, and you got to work your way through those before you can go after him. And it's good.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
You are up.
I don't have to write that one down because you
already
convinced me to get it a couple months ago.
There you go.
All right, so let's keep with the Marvel theme then. I'll go with number 8. I talked about this. I know I've talked about this recently, but with the new multiverse coming up and the X-Men stuff that I haven't even dipped into, Marvel United is so approachable and so easy to get to the table for non-gamers, to introduce them to how card play works or how actions work and how teamwork works in a game where it's not always rivalries and we're going at each other, like let's work together. And then the ability to introduce them to the Thanos pack where you got to beat the children so he doesn't get the stones, or throwing in Spider-Man and doing these teams. You can do the new Fantastic Four with Wolverine and Thing and Ghost Rider. Like the combination of characters in this thing is basically endless, but it's got such an approachable nature. I know it's a table hog. I get it. And the biggest hit on it is that it lends itself to quarterbacking something fierce, because somebody can just direct exactly what you need to do so they can do their thing, and then they'll do this so you can do. Someone can really take control of that game and be the quarterback if you're playing with someone that does that kind of thing. But I think the game it stings on so many levels that it's just really, I know the base is super easy, but the game has so much stuff to it that it can hit anybody from new gamers to people that want a challenge. Like you had mentioned Ultron in that thing. Ultron is a bitch to beat in this game. He's not easy. And then it just ramps up with every other person.
Kingpin's pretty tough.
Kingpin's wicked.
This game's not on my list. To be honest with you, I didn't even think about it. I do play it mostly with my grandkids, okay, because it's easy to play. You can get it out, and it can be, anybody can play it, okay. And you're right. So when I play with them, I have to do some directing, at least a little bit of directing.
Right.
But I think the thing that makes it good at any age group is the villains are across the board. This one's straightforward. It's pretty obvious what you have to do right from the very beginning, but they can get very complex, okay, or more interesting. Not overly complex. When I say complex, more intricate, I guess, is a better way of saying it. If you're going against the Sinister Six, that's a totally different game in how you have to play that game. Yeah. And then some of the X-Men stuff is even more so like that. So
most of the decks are the same, right? Decks are
very similar. Villains are different.
Drop your name so we know who you are. And I love that you love us. So hello to who this is. The decks are basically similar, right? You have the cards with the double icons on it, and you're playing off the person that played last. And what makes everybody unique are those 4 or 5 cards that give you an ability to let you do something. And it's such an amazing. Oh, hey, Daryl. Good to see you.
Hey, Daryl. Good to see you.
That ability to change the deck with just a few cards and how it impacts the game so dramatically is so cool. That just 4 cards can make Black Widow feel completely different than Spider-Man and feel completely different than Captain America. Such a well done thing.
Oh, by the way, if we were doing solo games, Daryl's Batman: The Dark Knight would be on my list. So I'm just going to say it right now with Daryl watching. He's heard me say it before. I totally enjoy that game.
Yeah, we have some Batman alumni in here today.
We sure do. One of the things, though, that you will notice, I don't know if you played the X-Men version, is the characters are a little more varied there. Okay. Obviously because they were made after the other set. But once again, the heart of the whole thing is how the villains are all very different.
Yep.
You want a different challenge, bring on a different villain. That's the key.
Yeah, it was a big ask, but I know it was a lot of money to get in to go all in with all this stuff. But having the variability of all those characters with all those villains and all those maps, like, it adds so much to that game. You could have that game and play that exclusively for quite a while and not play everything. It's got so, with the X-Men and then the multiverse, all the stuff they have, bonkers.
Yeah. And it's a big job when you start painting them. I'll tell you that much right now.
Oh yeah. Cool. All right, that's my number 8. You go.
All right.
Damn it. You know what I didn't do? I didn't change the banner.
Banner time, right?
All right, so now it's officially number 8.
Number 8. And number 8 for me is Black Orchestra.
This almost made my list.
This is, in my opinion, an amazing design.
Good.
Kudos to the designer. He took a difficult subject, okay? He made war feel real, and the Gestapo are terrifying, okay? You really have to work together as players. You've got to create all the right conditions. If for those of you who don't know what it is, it's about different soldiers or civilians who tried to assassinate Hitler during World War II. And it's just an amazing design. Every time I play it, I kind of marvel at the facts that he managed to put in it. Absolutely, I agree. He's an underrated designer, in my opinion. But this game is top notch. Okay, I liked it so much. I've actually got little painted German generals to use as pieces on the board. So it's an extremely interesting game. Highly recommend it to anybody. But if like I say, it's like when you look at this and you look at all the design elements in it, he just did amazing work. So
I would never guess that you would upgrade pieces of your game to have a better experience. I would never think that'd be something you did.
You know I do. So yeah, absolutely. It just, and I tell you what, it's although sometimes today I get concerned that we have these real expensive games come out and I play them and I'm like, well, there's just not a lot of depth there in terms of this being a game different than something else I've got on my shelf. It looks beautiful on the table. And I think we spend a lot making things beautiful. And I would rather them do what he did right here and make an amazing game that I sit down and go, okay, nobody else has done anything like this. This is fantastic.
Right. Yeah, unique and different. Something that feels similar. It's the same thing we look for with 3WS. Something that feels similar, like it feels familiar, but it's different. It's something that hasn't been done or looks like the table presence.
Forget the Gestapo piece, which I think is amazing because you fear the Gestapo in this game. Okay, right. You fear them when those cards come up. But just how you move from stage to stage in the war, and certain parts of the map become open because Germany's conquered it now. Then they close off as the Allies start moving in. It's an amazing job. Amazing job.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. Especially with the uptick in 3D printing and resin printing and the way that the people it's a phenomenal community, and I talk about it ad nauseum, but it's such a genuine community that somebody will make an STL file for something that upgrades their game and then share it with everybody so everyone else can experience the same thing. It's an amazing thing.
I think it's one of the great things about this industry is that it also is an industry and a hobby, but it's a hobby where we love what we're doing and we want other people to love it too. That's a great thing. Yeah.
Agreed. That's what I love about it. One of the things I love. One of the things I appreciate about it. All right. So I got to go to 7 off that. Well, that was dark, right? That's a dark one. So why don't we go to 2002? What did I just do?
Right? You're getting something light here.
So I went 2011. I jumped to most modern 2023. Then I went to 2020. So why don't we dance around the 20s for a little bit? 2022, Return to Dark Tower.
Fantastic game.
Oh God. I was just on our Thursday where we meet and someone was like, oh, we might have a seat. Do you want to play? And I wasn't anticipating playing because I was run down from the weekend and just trying to catch up on everything. But I heard that they were playing Dark Tower and I immediately want to play it.
Did you play the original?
I never played the original. I didn't have it. I never had a chance.
You didn't miss much. This new version is so much better than the original ever thought it could be. Because once again, the technology is better also.
Sure, yeah, like dancing around with the iPad.
The technology is better. Everything about it is better. I agree with you.
That whole
not on my list. Now I'm thinking, why didn't I think of it? Because
I'm shocked it's not on your list. That the first time I played it, when the tower, like, okay, fine, the tower is talking to the iPad, haha, and the lights are going up. Then the thing started fucking turning.
Yeah.
And then, like, at the end of your turn, you got to put a skull in, and you're like, oh my God, this is horrifying. Like, this is going to be, and then you open it and nothing comes out, and you feel this relief, but then you open it and like 7 come out, and you're like terrified. They do such a great job, and it's really not a complicated game, right? You're going to go somewhere.
It's easy to play, but hard to win.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. It's beautiful in its execution, in the way that they have the story going on and the way that it's talking with where the minis are and how you got to maintain where the thing, like what you need to do and where you got to go and how you're going to split up the party. It's so unbelievably amazing. And it's so challenging. It's such an amazing puzzle, but even without that tower.
Yeah. That makes for a great co-op game when you think about it, because they give you all these choices to do and there's no way you can do them all.
Yep.
Okay. But you have to do the important ones, but you don't really always know what the important ones are. Okay. Right. So, the most important ones are.
Yeah. Or even pushing your luck when you're in there and you got to do the cards, right? And you want to use your, what are they called? Not benefits. When you have when you have a +1 on something, it's not a benefit, but you have, like, you're really good against stealth. Or you're really good against whatever that is. And then you can push the card and it makes it easier for you to defeat.
Right.
But then nothing happens
it's a skill, or, essentially it gives you a bonus when you go at it. So, yeah.
It's so well done. Even without the tower, the game shines. It's super fun to play. It's super easy. Like, it's approachable. You get people to play. You know what you're doing. You have your unlockables on your character board. You do your thing. You try and satisfy the dark and all the threats that's going on. But then you drop this tower in the center that lights up, that turns around, that's dumping stuff on the board. They did such an amazing job.
They do with most everything they do. But what I will say is they could have taken it easy. We're just got a gimmick game here and just do that. But they didn't do that. They gave you a real game, okay, with everything that makes it work. Yeah, it's fantastic. I agree with you. No, oddly enough, I did not think of that one. So let me get my next one here.
I got you on one, Richard.
You did. Yeah, you did. Now I'm gonna have to go play it here soon. So I got it in the other room. All right. Pandemic Legacy Season 0. Okay. Now I got to tell you what, I'm not a huge Pandemic fan, but I do like all the different versions of Pandemic. But there's none I like as much as the Legacy Season 0, where you actually are Cold War. Okay, maybe because I grew up in the Cold War, I don't know. But you're actually Cold War spies in this, taking care of Russian spies. I don't know if you played it, but it's a very different game. There are diseases that come out, but that's not your big thing. You actually have Russian spies that are coming out in different places, and you have to. You actually have a passport. Okay. I was a assassin, in it until I got captured by the Cubans and tortured, and I got burned off of this one. So I had to change and become a assassin as an airline stewardess at that point. But it's a fantastic game. So I very much enjoyed it. We had a really good time playing this particular one.
What makes that? So I'm not familiar with Season 0. What makes it different than the others?
Okay, well, the main thing is you're dealing with Cold War. Okay, so the tokens that are coming out on the board are red spies. They're basically in the shape of little miniature spies. Locations have things where they're watching for you all the time. So if you go to Cuba, they're going to have like an eyeball there. If you go into Russia, they're going to have eyeballs in places. China. As the game goes on, more eyeballs can come out. Okay. So when you get burned in one of those locations, in other words, you get caught there because of the events that occur. At the bottom, you have a scratch pad here, and you have to scratch off one of your little scratch pads, and it tells you what your penalty is then. And if you scratch off a burn notice, they basically that your whole identity is blown for that character once that happens.
Oh,
and
wow.
you got to change your character altogether. So what you have to do is you have all these different missions, and you take different roles in it. So like Pete, we did it with Kevin, Melissa Delp, Pete Shirey, myself. Pete never left Washington, D.C. or New York. He just sat there and he sent us supplies and stuff. Okay. I can't complain. He sent me a new gun one time, so I could sweep out 3 of them at a time with an action at that point. But you have to coordinate these hit teams. Once you get the basics put down, you coordinate these hit teams. They have little like vans where they come out, and you got to get them to the locations and perform whatever the final action that you got to do. They've even got blueprints of factories where you have to sneak in, and sneak around, and you reveal the different parts of the factory as you go through it. So it's got a total spy feel to it. That's it's just a lot of fun. It looks 50. It looks like it's made in the late 50s, early 60s. And it has the whole spy Cold War feel to it. And we all really enjoyed it. So
that's cool. Stephen, yes, I believe Flatline was the sequel to Fuse, if I remember correctly, which is another game that I played probably 75, 80 times. And Fuse, you ever play Fuse?
I have. It's a good game.
Never beaten it.
I think I've beaten it before, but it's not easy to beat.
No, it's very challenging. All right. That was a good one. We're going to go to 6. I need to get a group together that could do a legacy game. Play the same thing multiple times.
People together and play that. It's amazing. It's it's really fun.
All right. So you went Pandemic.
Let's be clear. Pandemic Legacy.
Pandemic Legacy, Season 0. All right. I'm gonna keep in the 20s for the last one on my list that's in the 2020s. They just did a reprint, a second edition, maybe, or a reprint of the original with new planets. Have you played Unsettled?
I've not.
Oh my God. So Orange Nebula is one of those companies that when I see a game by them, I feel confident in what I'm going to get. The narrative, the gameplay, the components are off the charts. Just a stellar. The only thing I hate about it is that the planets in their little square boxes don't fit in the main box. It fits 2, and then you have 8. So it's like I need to, but I want to keep all the boxes because all the planets go in the boxes. Real nice. The game is a great co-op. The scenarios from planet to every planet is different. You decide to do a planet. There's like an A side and a B side to stuff. So the replay value of the game is through the roof. The components are amazing. The trays that they have and the way that the icons and the
what type of game is it? Is it an exploration or?
It is. So you get a little bit of a narrative like, hey, we're going to go to this planet. There are these spores that you got to do whatever. You're like, okay, fine. So when you come off, you have your characters and then this robot that you can move around, and you're exploring the tiles, and the tiles are going to have icons on it that'll do something and trigger something or mess with you in some way. But you have an objective, and then you follow that objective, and then you find out what you need to do next. So along the way, you're achieving stuff, and you're like, all right, well, now we need you to do this. And now the spores are going to react to you in this way. So now halfway through the game, when you're walking through it, you have this spore thing you're working with. And then when you do the thing, the spores change, and now they're doing something different. Yeah, and then you got to get back to the ship before you die kind of stuff. It's just it's a great narrative. It's an awesome experience. The games go anywhere from a half an hour to maybe an hour and a half, depending on the scenario and how many players you're playing with. But the interchangeability of the way you can play with the different planets in with your characters. It's really well done.
Especially versatility, because it sounds like you do a lot of different stuff. That sounds great. To look into that one.
It's a good one.
I've not played that one. Haven't really heard about it. My next one is Detective City of Angels.
Great game, Van Ryder.
I only play this as a pure co-op. I'm not a fan of the chisel at all. It slows the game down. It creates a competitive environment versus everybody's on the same team trying to solve the same It's crime. Okay.
Interesting.
And it plays so much better and so much faster when the chisel's not in the game, because the chisel has to secretly hand information to each other. Okay. Whereas, that's not the case when you're reading out of so they have a solo co-op book that you read the answers to, and you push against that, and then you go to another place and read. Fantastic. Stories are fantastic. The crimes are fantastic. Some are tougher than others, but we had a blast. We played all of them, and I think it's very good.
That's amazing. Just to catch up on what Wes said about the sleeve. Yeah. I have only heard good things about the chisel. I don't think I've heard anything about playing it just straight up. I've heard the people that play it, that I know that play it, have played it with the chisel and recommend playing it with the chisel.
There's only one reason to play it with the chisel. Okay. Essentially, the chisel is a keeper. All right. Hey. The chisel is a keeper, and you have the same issue you had with the original Mansions of Madness. If you've got a good keeper, then it's interesting, but still, they're just putting cards in of answers and handing to people. So, the cops have to share information, or they end up, running the same trail to get the same information, where you don't have that when you play without the chisel. So my opinion is try it without the chisel, and the game will be 30 minutes faster at a minimum. Wow. And, in fact, I don't think we've ever had one go more than an hour. So, playing it that way. With the chisel, the game's usually an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. So,
yeah, I heard it's a little lazy.
My experience. But it's not the case if you play it the other way. But you get the same thrill. You can lean on people, push them around, get the same kind of result. And it has a nice 1950s feel to it. Great writing. Evan did a great job on it. Fantastic game.
All right. Good to know. Yeah, a lot of these kind of games you have to have with a good group, right? Because one person can just ruin everyone's experience.
Yeah, you need to have a good group. That's all. That's true about almost every game. Once again, you and I were talking before we come online. The key to co-op games, in my opinion, is the experience they create. If it doesn't create the experience, if you don't create an experience, then they're just not that exciting. But the experience is the key.
Right. Yeah. Usually, you're walking away from a table or a game night or something. It could be the shittiest of games, but the people there made it good, so you walk away with a memory that just lasts. So it's not necessarily the game that's making it great; it's the people that are making it great. And then the game
co-op games create the foundation for that. That's I would argue that it's very difficult for even a great group of people to make a bad game work, and get the same experience.
Sure. Yeah, bad rule books, bad games, bad mechanisms, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Top
That's
5
cool.
now.
We're finally into the top 5. I don't know where to go after Detective. That's a good one. All right. So 2021. So let's go backwards in time to the next one on my list. Yeah. All right. This is probably the lightest one on my list, but I love it. Every time I played it, it's gone well. You can play this with any level of person that's going. You play it with kids, you can play it with families, you can play it with people that just want to have a fun, 20-minute romp through a filler. It was originally in German by Mattel. It is in English called Ghost Fightin' Treasure Hunters.
I have not heard of that one.
So it's super light, but it's fun. And the only misstep is that they have these ghosts that you want to glow in the dark so badly, and they didn't make them in glow in the dark material. It's even that color, like the ghosts are that color, but they just don't glow. They just need a little paint or something. But the idea is there's a whole bunch of rooms in this haunted house. We are hired. We're kid detectives going into this house trying to rescue the 8 treasures. There's 8 gems. We got to get them out of the house. The caveat is we have to get them out in order. So they have to come out 1 first, 2 next, 3 after that. The way you play it, and you can play it with all of them face up if you're playing with really young kids, is to play with them face down. And now you don't know where the gems are in the house. So you got to go there and flip it over. Once you take a gem, you can't let it out of your backpack. The minis actually have a backpack that the little cardboard gem sits in, which is super cool. But then it's a real, depending on how many ghosts are in a room, You're going to fight a ghost. You're going to roll a die. If it comes up green, you kill a green ghost. If it comes up red, you get to kill the red ghost. But you need 2 people to fight the red ghost. Before your turn, you flip a card, and it has a letter on it where you're going to put a ghost. And in pandemic style, if it's the 3rd ghost you put in there, it becomes a haunt, which is one of the big red ones. So it's got a little bit of pandemic. It's much lighter, but it's super approachable. It's super fun. Every time I play, it's great around Halloween.
That sounds like a good Halloween game. So,
and they have an expansion that leads you into the treasure room, like a basement treasure room, where there's even more to it.
What year was that published?
Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters was 2013.
Wow. I'm not familiar with it. I don't think I've ever, I haven't ever seen that or sounds interesting though.
It was right in the early time. That was the year that I went to Dice Tower for the first time, was 2013. So it was really young in my what the hell are board games career, but it's held on throughout all these years. And it's really good around Halloween, but it's really good as just an intro level or a filler or something you just want to play and have fun with, like end of the night where everyone's been drinking and you don't want to play a game anymore, but you play this.
Yeah, that sounds good. My number 5, Cthulhu Death May Die.
Great game.
Fantastic tactical game. Great miniatures, game plays, an hour usually, hour and 15 minutes with setup and stuff. Tons of different stories and just a great little Cthulhu-ish tactical game. So always enjoy it.
You had to find a way to stick a Cthulhu game on there, huh?
Yeah. The question is, will it be my last? So.
No, I doubt it. I'm surprised you waited until 5 to get the first one.
I did a lot of thinking about these. I rearranged them a lot of ways. So that's 5.
Yeah, Cthulhu Death May Die it's a bonker game. That big Cthulhu cat statue in the background there.
Yeah.
That's a mini in the game. It's unbelievable what they did to that.
It's a fun one.
It is. And it's not really, if you have someone that can teach it well, it's really not a complicated game.
They have your entire actions right there on your character sheet. Yep. It's not hard to play at all. So
yeah, that's a good one. Good pick. All right. So you want to go with Cthulhu Death May Die. I'm going to go to 2015, keeping with the death in the title, and go to Kingdom Death Monster.
That's one I've never played. I know a lot of people that have it though. It's expensive. That's an expensive one, I believe.
It is,
right?
It is. Yeah, there are 4 people in the game community that have a copy, so I've never felt the need to get it. My big hindrance, and it is pricey, but my big hindrance is you have to put all of the minis together, like glue. Yeah. They're all in SKUs. You got to glue them. Yeah. One mini alone has 100 little hands from the wrist up that you got to glue onto the.
After the 3rd edition of Space Hulk or whatever, we had to put them all together. I said, never again. Never. Yeah. I do this.
Getting somebody's copy that's already put together, maybe, but that's the only reason why I don't have it, other than the fact that 4 people have it. But again, the narrative in it, the world that they create, the world building that they did into this thing that's going on, really it grips you right from the beginning. Like when you start the story and it tells you what's going on, you're like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Then you start fighting. It's a very, very easy game to play, right? You're going to do a thing. You're going to move yourself in a position. You're going to roll some dice. You're going to fail miserably. You might die. And then you go back to town and camp and you do all of these things. And then the strategy in what you do, how you're growing your crew, what you're doing in your civilization. Then you go back out and you fight again. And you go through all these lantern years and things happen throughout the story. It is unbelievable to think about how deep this game goes at such a really easy level to play. That what makes it really puzzly and fun are your 3x3 grid of not attributes, weapons, armor, stuff you're carrying on, your chest plate, your helmet, your whatever. And the way that on the card there are connections, like color connections that you can make. And if you can make a connection, it makes it even stronger. So as you go and you have this opportunity to buy stuff, you're buying stuff thinking about, well, if I put that in this slot, it actually makes me better this way. It's got so much.
You feel like you're crafting. You feel like you're crafting it. That's great. No, I haven't played that one, but I don't know anybody who's ever saying bad about that one. So
it is super, super
I
expensive.
don't know many people that have that one. Unlike you, I only know a couple people that have that one. So
well, again, you got to come up to Syracuse, Richard.
Yeah, there you go.
It is a great game. It really is. It's dark and it's not going to be for everybody because of what they're doing, but the world building they did and the creative stuff that they pulled off in that game, the minis are beautiful. They're detailed. The game is fun. It is dark and it's not for everybody, but they did such a great job building that world.
Sure. That sounds great. My fifth one, or my fourth one, actually, comes from me. Everybody knows that I love Defenders of the Realm. This represents the whole line, actually. Okay, I could actually bring the new one that's sitting on the table in there. This one's not out yet, but when it comes out, it's an awesome game, especially for people who love superheroes. The game has continued to evolve. Tons of expansions, tons of characters, tons of gameplay. And I played it with 8, 9, 10-year-olds and adults, and it just always, for me, it always delivers. So whether you're playing Defenders of the Realm, you're playing Defenders of the Last Stand, you're playing Freedom 5 or the new Legends Untold, they in my opinion, they just deliver. And I put it on there not because I designed it. I'm not plugging these games, okay? I put it on there because I play it. Okay, it's one that I will go back to the table with at any given time and play again.
It is a solid entry. Could you pick up the Freedom 5 box again?
Okay, this is actually the prototype box they sent to me. The other one, it does look like that though. So
it's going to be that big?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. And every case, so if you're going to play a character, you just take your tray out. It's got your character's cards, their own special dice if they got special dice, whatever's in there. And the game's evolved. Okay, it used to be, for those of you who played it in the past, Defenders of the Realm, where they overrun and scatter to different areas. In the new Defenders of the Realm, Legends Untold, they don't scatter; they charge toward the city. And if they get to the city, they knock down walls. Okay, so you've got so the armies act like true armies, constantly moving forward, and it's some nice changes and moves. But the original, with especially just you can mix and match, expansions for almost forever, and come up with the combinations that's right for your group.
I am very much looking forward to Freedom 5. I backed that one as soon as it went live.
Someday, that way, that's what happens when you promise that you're going to get painted minis. And painted mini process is a big process. Of course, it did get held up a little bit through COVID and shipping and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is the painted minis just take a long time.
They do, but they'll do it right. I mean, that's another company that I believe in.
Look, I've seen that it looks great. So
yeah, it's good. You believe in the company that they make good stuff.
And we get to go to top 3 now.
Hopefully
we haven't put anybody to sleep yet. Hey guys.
Who is that? Put your name down so we can see you, unless you want to click the thing that lets Facebook use your name. All right, number 3, huh? Where do I go after that? Geez, that was like you had 4 in 1 on that one.
I can squeeze them in.
I can see that. All right, so I did all of those. I went. What was the last one I did? 2015. I can go back a little bit.
So you have a history lesson. I don't tell you when they come out.
Yeah, it gives me a little bit of like, all right, why don't I just go like earliest to newest or newest to earliest? Or I even have the rankings of where they sit right now on BGG. They're all, except for Ghostbite and Treasure Hunters, which I just adore. They're all in the top. They're all in the top 750. Ghostbite's outside 100 outside the 1,000. All right, let's go with Gears of War 2011.
Great game.
I wish they would reprint it. I'm glad I have my copy.
I imagine licensing would be an issue now, but
well, they just came out. What's Steamforge came out with the card game. Right?
Yeah, they did. But
so I'm curious if they'll reprint the old one.
I doubt they'll reprint the old one. They might do updates to it. In my opinion, it's an excellent game. A little too hard at times, I think. I would hope that they would make some adjustments when they do that, because once you get low on cards, you're in trouble in that game.
Oh yeah, but that's what I loved about it. Like I'm a huge Gears of War fan. I used to play it constantly on the console. Then it was like, well, wait a minute. They make, and this is 2011, right? So I'm pretty new into things.
It's Corey's game, isn't it? I think he designed it. Yeah,
fantastic. Corey designed it.
Fantastic designer, did a fantastic job on it. So
it's awesome. I had no idea that something like this could exist, and this was, I think I had just played Mansions of Madness recently to that. It's got that same kind of feel where you're seeding the board and things are going to pop up and you got the spawn points and everything, but it was so punishing and felt so much like the game that it was like, no, we got to do it again. We could do better. And then it kicked our asses the next time. It was like, no. We got to do better. We got to do better.
But that's the part where I think they got to make it. They got to put some things into where you can be a little more heroic and not die.
Sure. Well, especially now, right? 2024, you got to have games that feel a little bit better and a little less punishing, and then give them the opportunity to make it punishing if they want the challenge.
Yeah.
But man,
I agree, because the punishing is a little bit too much, which forces people to turtle, which makes the game go too long. And I would like to take that part out, that strategy part out, and have it to where, I can be. I don't know how you would do it. Corey probably would know how to do it, but that's all I look for in that game. And yeah, I've got it on my shelf in here, and I still love it. So.
Oh, it was great, but that turtling felt real, right? Like that happens in the game where all of a sudden,
after a while, you're like, okay, we got to sooner or later we got to go. Okay,
got to go, and you'll always have one in the party that just steamrolls through and dies somehow or whatever.
If you charge forward, you're gonna die.
You are gonna die. They did such a good job with that one. A friend of mine just recently pulled the trigger on buying a copy. She saw it like available and is a big Gears of War fan. And I was talking about my copy, and then she got it. So now I'm like fiending to play it again. It's just a good game. I don't know, because I haven't played it in a while. I don't know if it would stand up to today's standards. Like you said,
it does.
Right.
It's just still too tough.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I want a tough game.
But you will enjoy playing it. The joy doesn't go out of it other than the fact that, we lost again. Okay.
Sure. Good.
All right. So my number 3
is Gears of War.
Hour of Need by the Sadler Brothers. Okay. These are two of my favorite designers and favorite people. I really enjoy them. And superheroes, where every scenario has its own board that you're working on. This just uses their card system where you have your own deck of cards for your superhero, as well as your miniature that's moving on the board. They've used this card system in a lot of their games. Brook City, I loved a lot too, but it was a little fiddly in Brook City. To me, this is their best. Okay, now they've done a lot of good games, but this is their best that I really enjoyed. Now I like superheroes, and Hour of Need was done by Blacklist. I don't know if you can even get many copies out there. But there's the base game. There's a couple of different other boxes. They all just give you more heroes, more scenarios, more of that type of thing. I really hope that after Blacklist, they can take this somewhere else and do more stuff, because this is a game I really enjoy playing. It's got all the stuff that if you played any of their games in the past that they put into their games that really, really make them feel like your character is unique, it's special, the world is real. I really enjoy it. You can mix and match. You pick your scenario. It has a little bit of how Death May Die works. I pick my villain. I pick my scenario. I put those two things together. Now I can get my heroes and decide how we're going to go about this. So
okay, I don't know that.
Pure co-op in terms of I can take actions but not finish my turn. You can take actions. We can go back and forth taking different actions until we all finish. When you finish your actions, then you have to enact the bad stuff that you have active on basically in your tableau. So
I don't know that one.
You would like it.
You got 2 on my list now, Richard. Thanks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's good company. Yeah. Well, we talked about this one in the beginning. This will always be on my list for all things, no matter if it fits or not, because of its reason why I'm in the hobby and in the industry.
I don't agree. I don't agree to your rules though, so I'm telling you, it's still coming up somewhere, maybe on my list.
You can bring it up. It's my own rule, and you're feel free to bring it up. That's fine, because then I'll just talk about it some more. All right, so we got to go to number 2, huh? Interesting. Also, this might jump the gun, but I've never played.
Spirit Island. I tell you what, I contemplated Spirit Island back and forth. I actually love Spirit Island, but I love it more as a solo game than a co-op. Now, I know it is a co-op game, but I don't play it much, and that's why it didn't make my list. But if I'd have played it a lot more co-op, it would have made my list. What I found is I think it's easier when I play co-op. When I do play co-op, I win more than I lose. And when I don't play co-op, I lose more than I win. So
I've never played it.
It's fun. It's a great game.
I've heard it's on a lot of people's must play list.
Oh, it's a great game.
It's never hit it for me. All right, number 2. Where do I go? Let's go with. Oh, this is a tough one now.
You've only got 2 to choose from.
I know, but I have 3 that I want to. All right, I'm going to go with Mice and Mystics.
Yeah, that's a nice design.
I love it. I loved how the initiative worked with the cards.
Yeah.
Where you took everybody, you shuffled it up, and you put them out, and that's how they were going to go. But then the narrative in that story of how it all happened.
You had the little cheese wedges. You had those little cheese wedges. Yeah. It's an interesting game. I agree.
It's the first time there was a choice between, do we do this thing that has nothing to do with the story because we hear something upstairs in the kitchen, or do we stay on the track of what the story, like a rabbit hole, right? A little thread you can pull. And the game is purposefully trying to get you off track to waste time. But if you do it, it's got a good payoff. But if you don't do it, you don't even know what you're not doing. It was one of those moments where you're like, all right, well, we got to go up to the kitchen. We have to go do the thing. Why would you not do the thing? Yeah. And it was such a cool moment. We have to do it. And then you do it and you're like, well, should we have done it? Now we're going to lose time out here. But then you go outside and there's the birds. The game, it was such a cute story. It really brought you into the world. And again, it was one of those games that's not very hard. As long as you have someone who can set it up.
It's not a hard game to play. It's a good game. Yep. Kind of different than the genres I like to play. So I've only played it a few times, but It's definitely a good game. So
it has the stuff, the extra stuff, right? The Heart of Glorm and the went to Tail Feathers, which was a little different, and then they just did the new one, Aftermath, which is still in the world. But Mice and Mystics was such a clever, cute co-op game. I think it was really fun.
Yeah, I agree. Clever game, nice game. I think they sold a lot of copies, so I think a lot of people liked it. Yeah. My number 2 is Maximum Apocalypse.
Oh, wow. That's a gigantic box. I have that, but not that size.
I love it. This has the miniatures. It has all the stuff in it. It has all the characters in it. You can go against vampires, zombies, robots, aliens from outer space. They've got entire campaigns that you can play through in it. The decks are all unique. When you're playing the gunslinger, you feel like a gunslinger. When you're playing the surgeon, you feel like a surgeon. If you're playing, the priest, you feel like a priest. It's, to me, I love this kind of game. And anybody who has gone to cons recently with me when I've had it, they might have had me try to get them to play it, but I just love this game. It's what I really like. So.
I had no idea that even came that big.
Yeah. They've got it now to where you can interact with tribes in different areas at certain times. The weather changes, night, day. You can mix and match it any way you want to. And once again, I get back to talking about experience. I always have a good time when I'm playing that game. So if you get into your character, you enjoy playing your character cards, you enjoy interacting. Sometimes the missions are fairly easy. Sometimes the missions seem hard. That's fine. It's just fun.
That's awesome. I gotta look up that big box version.
That's called Legacy Edition right there, or Legendary Edition. The Legendary Edition. They sell in a big box.
All right, on the list. Thanks again. What do we got? Oh, Dragonholt. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I like the co-op stuff too. That somebody just said co-op kind of RPG, role-playing game co-op. That's what I like.
Yeah, Dragonholt's definitely got that RPG feel to it for sure.
It does. Absolutely.
Yep. All right, number one. I think this is my Achilles heel in gaming, is this game. I've never beaten it. I love it. It's Ghost Stories.
I love Ghost Stories too. I didn't mention it because I haven't played it in a long time, but I played it. Used to play it a ton.
I've played it a ton. I've never beaten it, and it always leaves you wanting to play it again to try and beat it. It's brilliant in its design. I love the 3x3, how you're moving your character around to benefit from the actions, and then how the game is just punishing you from the beginning. And
they have a new version of that too, right? Where you're in a castle now.
Yeah, Last Bastion.
Yeah,
it's a good job.
Yeah,
I want to play that one. I got it. I picked it up used, I think, at Millennium in Rochester. Actually,
it's good.
I've never played that version.
It's good. I would say it's a little better than the old Ghost Stories. And the old Ghost Stories, I would say, is excellent.
Yeah,
simply because they had the ability to clean up a few things.
Good to know. I mean, also it depends on do you like that theme over this theme?
Well, and they make the theme work there too, because now you can put up a banner so the archers are attacking that. So when you get that bonus against certain colors, because you put up the banner and the archers are focusing on that.
Right.
So thematically they did a lot of thought process there. But yeah, no, I like the old version. I like the new version. Good choice, and one that I should not have forgotten. I used to play that a ton years ago. That's got to be a 20-year-old game.
So Ghost Stories came out in 2008, Richard.
Close.
Yeah, I've never beaten it. Kind of like Fuse, and Fuse was more frustrating. Like after a while, it was like, I don't think you can beat it, so I never want to try again. Ghost Stories, I always revisit, and it always just screws me. But it's so well done. It's such a good game. The way the set collection and the defeating the monsters and how they're just punishing, they're just coming in all the time. Such a good game. So
my last one, I'm not even going to show you a picture of it because it's going to be Arkham Horror, the whole Arkham Horror line. Okay, whether you're playing the first edition, second edition, Eldritch Horror. The third edition is kind of a different game from the rest of them. It's more of a story-driven game, but I include that, or the card game, or Mansions of Madness. That whole line gives you, in my opinion, an incredible co-op experience. So, pick pretty much how you want to play that. But it's just. In fact, I don't know if have you played my classic edition yet, where took the first edition and kind of made changes to it on the made the big board up. Yeah, you have played it.
Oh yeah, we have.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've not been able to get them to produce that one. So, and I've been thinking about what really should be. Eldritch Horror actually is the third edition of the game. Really, when you think about it, it kind of culminates all of the feel. What I'd like to see is a fourth edition now, where we go back to the second edition, but we do what I love so much about Maximum Apocalypse and Freedom 5, how they got their own decks and all this stuff, where every character has their own deck of cards. Not like the card game, but kind of a mix to where, it's your character deck. It's the bonuses of things you get to do, that you get to play and do as you go about playing the real game, and get back into the story on the board. With additional places you can go to outside of the board and so on and so forth. I've just had some thoughts on that lately, but I've not done anything on it. But that's kind of where I would like to see it go for a fourth edition, if it can. Who knows? I'm not really sure. Inside of Fantasy Flight after Asmodee now that they've got designers working on new stuff outside of the card game or the electronic version.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sure.
So that's my number one, and it kind of crosses all the different things that we put out on that. So
it would be. We talked before the show too. It would be my number one in anything because of what it's done. That first edition, the 1987, the one The one that we played at Dice Tower with the big mat that you did.
Classic,
you made some changes to it.
I call it Arkham Classic.
They had such a great opportunity to do a 25th anniversary. If they don't do a 30th anniversary of it, they're missing.
And not again, nothing against anybody at Fantasy Flight, but after they got Asmodee, I talked to the presidents, and Navarro was the last one I talked to. And he was, he thought it sounded like a good thing to do, that we need to do it. But, things changed. Somebody else took over. Focus changed there. So it just hasn't been something they've wanted to do. Hopefully they come back and want to do that. But that is a real crowd pleaser when I run it at cons. The simplicity of it, along with the storytelling, along with the action and the heroics is just something I always enjoy. And I can tell you it's something that a lot of them really enjoy. So,
well, you also have that gigantic mat that you put on the table.
Yeah,
so it's gorgeous. The updated map with the bits of it really is. But so this is a fanboy moment. But if you have an opportunity to meet Richard at a convention and play a game with him, he runs such a cool game. Like the story he created the story, right? So when you're playing, he does things that just make sense in the game. And you're just taken away from everything for a while. It's so much fun to play. And I never played the original. I had never played the 87 version. And you told me don't, it's whatever. It's a roll and move, whatever, play this. And then all the enhancements you did to the game.
I kept roll and move in this.
You did, but you made it so much better than a traditional.
I changed it somewhat, but it's every time I run it, people enjoy it and I enjoy it. And it's a lot of fun. So hopefully someday the classic gets produced. I even told them that, they can have the art. I paid a couple $1,000s to have that board painted.
The upgrade,
to an artist in Brazil, and he did such a beautiful job on that thing. I told Fantasy Flight, if you want to publish it, if you ever want that board, I'm more than glad to let you guys have the artwork. So
I got to go back. I have pictures from playing it. I got to go back and look. I'll find them. I'll try and post them.
It's a beautiful board. The way he painted it, so it's night, and how all the buildings work. And he sent me notes when he was painting it saying, it needs some fill-in buildings and stuff like that. Do you mind if I just really make it look like a city? I'm like, no, go for it.
He killed it. He absolutely destroyed it. It looks awesome.
He knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We've been long, but that doesn't bother me. But, it's kind of what your timeline is.
Oh, my timeline is.
Do you want to just list and briefly say some of your honorable mention ones, and I would do some of mine then?
I have 3 on my honorable mention list. I can talk about them in 4. I just played one recently that was really, really fun and clever. But yeah, you want to talk about them? You want me just to talk about them in order?
Just do your 3, and then I'll do a few of mine, and then we'll do whatever we do.
All right. So there's a game from years ago that actually Daryl, I don't know if it's still in the chat, that Daryl showed me. Forget what it's called now, but something Soviet Kitchen. They just redid it as Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy. Really done name. But it's super clever. It uses QR codes. The idea is there's a thing, whether you're playing the Soviet Kitchen one or you're playing the Monster one, there's a thing you have to match the color of. So in the Soviet one, you're trying to match a dish. It looks like a piece of sausage with some mashed potato, something. In the new one, it's a color of a monster. And in your hand are colors of things, items. And everyone has to play a card, and you hold it over your phone, and it takes the color. And then once everyone has done a color, it blends the color and spits out that you're trying to get as close to the color as possible. In both versions, it's a really fun experience. It's fully co-op. There's no trader.
I've never heard of anything like that before. So
it's really clever. The backs of every card has a QR code. Every card has a unique QR code. Cool. Really, really clever game. You do have to have an app, so someone's got to have the phone and the app on it, but it does everything you need. We actually played. A friend of mine was up in Montreal, Quebec, and got me a copy, and the copy is in French, but the app knows the card and tells you what it does in English. So you don't even need to translate it. You just you need to know what it does, but when you do it, it'll tell you what to do.
Sure.
Yeah, really, really great. Really fun game. Every time we played it, it's been a hit. I also have on my list Escape Curse of the Temple.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
That one, the only thing that seems to be a hurdle every time I teach it is knowing that when you do your action, you roll your die. So if you need to get into a tile and it requires a man and a torch, You have to roll your dice as fast as possible. And then when you get a man and a torch, you use that to move your character into that thing, but you roll the dice as the entrance fee or something. And that seems to be a hurdle in most people going forward when I try and teach it. But that game, it's a 10-minute timer. You have 10 minutes to get out of the temple before it crushes you. And it's very Indiana Jones-esque, right? Like something's going on, but you have 10 minutes to get out. I played that once with the Illusions expansion and this module and this one. One day, 8 hours in a row, we played that game. It was that much fun. And you're just creating this 15 deck of tiles to make the dungeon. And we would just throw in new stuff and then play again and fail and then play till we win. And then we upgrade it. Played a 10-minute game, 8 hours. Super fun.
That sounds like that. You stretched it out. That's for sure. You got your money.
It was an entire day of just that game. And it's got so much stuff to it too. So the replay value is through the roof. The next one is The Reckoners. Have you played The Reckoners?
I have. I have that one. I like it. For some reason, I don't go back to it very much, but I do like it.
I haven't played with the new stuff, with the expansion to give it more.
Expansion, no.
I've heard it's really good, and it changes a lot of the stuff. Like, it adds a lot more to it. But the concept of you are just a human, and you're trying to find the weakness of the superheroes because all the superheroes are evil or bad in some way. And then you got to research them to get the research down so you can start attacking them. Very, very clever. I don't know the series, but the production value is
it's based on the book. So, I think they do a good job with it. I agree with you. Very good. Very good.
I like that one a lot. And then the only other one I have, and it kind of encompasses a bunch, is the Rising series of games. Thanos Rising, Darkseid Rising.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thanos Rising, that's just a fun game.
Oh, super fun.
It can eat you up or spit you out because it is a pure dice game. And early on, you have almost no ability to manipulate the dice. Okay. Yep. Which I love dice games, but I like to give people the ability to manipulate dice. Sure. And this one will give you the ability once you start getting some things, but till you get those things, you just start cold. Yep. I agree with you. Those are good ones. And I hadn't really thought of those. So
the Thanos one was the first one I played and I adored it. Then I got to meet Andrew, who is the designer. And then I played the Star Wars one. And you know me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Talking to Andrew about
the Star Wars, it's good too.
I love it, and I love the theme. The Marvel one is great. It was the first one I played. I like it. I like it as much, but Star Wars being the theme. But then I got to talk to him. He was on the show talking about. I think we talked at the gathering, but I was on the show talking about it. He was restricted in thinking about the characters. He couldn't just have Darth Maul and Rey. Like the characters that they used had to be within a certain timeline where they could actually meet each other. Like they could actually happen. So it couldn't have been the entire universe.
Well, you know what that's like, though. Anytime you're dealing with an IP, you've got to stick to the IP. Exactly. So the IP is the IP, and it's king.
But it's really clever. Like the restriction of all right, well, that could you could have Hera and Leia in the same thing, obviously, because when you know the stuff. But man, the game, it's just super fun. The Fire Rising one, the newer one, is okay. The SpongeBob one, not a huge fan. The Death Eater Rising one was as good.
I think they've got one for what is that one? Is that one Harry Potter? Is that the one you were mentioning?
The Death Eater Rising, yeah.
I've not done that one, so I don't know.
That one's okay.
They got a Batman one.
The Batman Who Laughs, yeah.
I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, they got kind of a weird Joker on it or something. But.
Yeah, they got a few, but really the two that if you're gonna play any of them, the Harry Potter one's okay if you're a Harry Potter fan, it's fine. But the Thanos Rising and the Darkseid Rising are they're usually in my bag where I go whenever I go to places because they're just easy to teach, they're fun to play. It's that dice chucking roll, decide what to keep. You can quarterback, but.
You mentioned Harry Potter, and I don't really play this game, but I got to tell you, my daughter and her husband and all their friends, and they're in their late 30s, early 40s. They love that Harry Potter card game. So that one, if one of them was making a list of co-op games they like, that would be right here on it because they have played all the way through all that stuff and
that was Andrew as well.
Yeah, that was Andrew. It was a great job. That both my daughters love that game and their husbands. So.
That's a good one.
So what I've got now,
the one I missed,
huh?
Kabuki's got a good one.
Oh,
the Grizzled, Oh,
that one is very hard. That one is very hard. So yeah,
Yep.
that's a nice little card game to create some tension, no doubt about it. On my list, I have now everybody knows I love NASCAR racing because Thunder Rolls and stuff. But Pit Crew from Stronghold a few years ago, that is just pure hectic chaos where you're changing tires. Everybody's throwing cards as quick as you can, but they got to be in order, one higher, one lower, whatever.
Right.
And the minute you get your car out, somebody starts rolling a dice. If they roll a 6, they move the car. You're still trying to get yours worked on over here. That is a fun 30-minute co-op game. That's real. It's competitive, but it's co-op because you can have a team of 4 players putting the tires on as one team. So it's kind of co-op and competitive both at the same time,
Right.
which can be interesting. Masters of the Night, I got to play that with some of your friends. I think they were on here.
Yeah, Dave and Di. Yep, they showed me a picture of it. Yeah.
That is a really strategic game that most people don't know about. It kind of slid under where your vampires moving into a city trying to take over the city, and you have to stay hidden, keep the hunters under control, and then get control of the city at the same time. So it's kind of interesting. And the last one I have on my list that I'm going to talk about is Conquest of Planet Earth from Flying Frog, which you are an alien race. It's got a nice 50. Yeah, that's it. You've got a nice 50s look to the game in terms of everything looks like 50. You're bringing flying saucers, and you can play that game. One of the things that I like about the game is you can play it competitively or you can play it co-op or what. It's a co-op game. Okay.
Yeah.
Competitively, I guess it could be fun, but when you play that game co-op, it just shines. There's a superhero you can pull out of a bag. He flies around and starts punching all your spaceships, which he's not even in the competitive game. So, so there's just so much to that game, but picking your race and having the different powers you have, just the look, the 1950s look to it. Is a fantastic game, Conquest of Planet Earth. And what's happened is you're trying to take over so many points of Earth, they're trying to build a ray gun that'll kill all of the aliens. So there's this technology tree that's going on for the humans at the end of every round where they're getting stronger, making more things. But they have paratroopers that drop in randomly on places and cannons that shoot at you each turn and all these different things that Earth does to fight back. It's just very thematic to any 1950s movie that you would have ever seen. So that's it. Those are the ones I thought of when I started thinking of co-op games. So
that's a hell of a list, man.
Yeah, there's some good ones here, both of us. So I picked up some I'm going to go look at. So
I'm definitely tracking down Code 3. That Masters of the Night looks amazing.
Masters of the Night's a lot of fun. Code 3, if you can find it, it's difficult to find, but that one is a lot of fun. Not without some flaws, but a fun game. You just need to do the main mystery to do in that one is that, like I say, the serial killer, the murder one. There's a couple others that are good, but that one's great. So I highly recommend doing that one first. And that's
a good question. No, I consider them party games. I don't necessarily consider. I love 13 Words, and for me, 13 Words bumped just one out. I bring 13 Words everywhere. Just one I don't want to play anymore because of it. But I think of them as party games, not co-op. That initially, anyway. What about you?
Yeah, well, I know those are party games because I'm not even familiar with them. By and large, I don't do party games. I wish I could. I just don't have the mindset for them. And I don't usually get involved in party games because it seems like I'm always playing bigger, long games. So
Right. Yeah, they're essentially they're co-op because you're working together. Like it's not a party game where it's like team versus team or everyone for themselves. You are trying to get as many points as you can as a collective, and at the end of everyone being the thing for the game, you add up all your points, and that's how you get your score. So it is cooperative, and you are working together. But initially they come to mind as party games, not co-op games.
Yeah.
But you are working together in a co-op.
I'm just not familiar with them, so.
Yeah, 13 Words is a good one too. Huh. All right. Well, I can turn this banner off, I guess, and I'll do what Chris forgets to do all the time with the like and subscribe stuff. So I can't thank you enough for hanging out.
It's been fun.
I love talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I hate you for putting games on my radar that I need to buy because I buy too many games to begin with. But I am very happy that you put Arkham on your list because it gives me time to talk about it. Because that, as I've said, that will always have a place in my heart for forever. And its impact for me as in the industry now. It's an amazing game.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And anytime, if you want me to, anytime you need me to pinch hit, I'll be glad to come on and talk. That's one thing I can do is talk. I don't know how interesting I am, but I can talk.
I could talk to you all the time. So hopefully everyone enjoyed it. It seemed like the chat was engaged. Christian is in LA hanging out with Peter and the Cardboard Alchemy folk. I assume they're either making something new or working on something new or enhancing what they're working on that's going to be new. So we'll find out all about it. I'm sure he won't be able to talk about any of it, but he'll be back on Monday. There you go.
More Richard? Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Well, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of when the next con I'm going to. Right now, probably the next convention I go to will probably be Origins.
You'll be there?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be at Origins again. I talked to Sean this week, and I told him, I'd be glad to come down there, run a few Thunder Rolls things, a few Victory Lane things, and cool. Probably run some just over in the open gaming, run some LA1 and Defenders Legends Retold. So so we'll see. I think I'm going to go to in May. They have the Buckeye Game Fest, and I'm hoping I'm able to go up to that again too. I always love going to that, which is the same place as Origins. So
Ohio is like right next door to me. Like
it's not red. No, I know where you are. It is not next door to you. I would love to come up there, but it's not next door to you.
We're like neighbors. Ohio is like right there.
I don't know. When I plug it in the GPS, it does not look the same.
I'll get you up here eventually.
Yeah, one of these days you probably will.
I hope so. So Origins, I'm not gonna brag too much, but it's my birthday this year during Origins, so we need to connect.
All right, you bet. We'll go out. We'll go get something to eat. We'll play some games.
Cool. Yeah. I'd love to play Defenders. Holy shit, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Cool.
We might even play Freedom 5. It'll probably be out by then. So.
You're gonna bring yours? Because I know you probably require.
I've got my prototypes set right. Well, that's not this is a finished prototype. It's actually got the miniatures in it and stuff. So,
are you driving to Buckeye Fest?
Oh yeah. I'm from Dayton. I mean, that's it's an 8-hour drive. It's a piece of cake.
Okay, I'm making notes here.
It's beyond 8 that it starts becoming a push.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll remember this.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone in the chat, thank you as always for being there and being chatty in the chat. Richard, you're a delight. I love you, and I hope everything is well. Thanks for hanging out. And we have some stuff to do, so we need to get back on a schedule and chat about some things. So
yeah, no, we got some work, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Always a pleasure, my friend. Be well.
Right back at you.
See you soon.
You bet.
Bye, guys.